Then on the 89th day, Satan came to the cave, clad in a garment of light, and belted with a bright girdle. In his hands was a staff of light, and he looked most frightening, but his face was pleasant and his speech was sweet. He had transformed himself like this in order to deceive Adam and Hawwa and to make them come out of the cave before they had fulfilled the 40 days. He said to himself, when they had fulfilled the 40 days fasting and praying, Elohim would restore them to their former state, but if he did not do this he would still be favorable to them. And even if he had no mercy on them would he still give them something from the garden to comfort them as he had already twice before. Then Satan came near the cave in beautiful appearance and said, 63. 1 Adam and Hawwa. Adam, you and Hawwa arise and stand up and come along with me to a good land and don't be afraid. I am flesh and bones like you, and at first I was a creature that Elohim created. It was like this when he had created me, he placed me in a garden in the north on the border of the world. And he said to me, stay here. And I remained there according to his word, and I did not violate his commandment. Then he made a sleep to come over me, and then he brought you, Adam, out of my side, but he did not make you stay with me. But Elohim took you in his Kodesh hand and placed you in a garden to the east. Then I worried about you, because even though Elohim had taken you out of my side, he had not allowed you to stay with me. But Elohim said to me, do not worry about Adam, whom I brought out of your side, no harm will come to him. For now I have brought out of his side a helpmeet for him, and I have given him joy by so doing. Then Satan spoke again, saying, I did not know how it is you came to be in this cave, nor anything about this trial that has come over you, until Elohim said to me, behold, Adam has transgressed. He whom I had taken out of your side, and Hawwa also, whom I took out of his side, have sinned, and I have driven them out of the garden. I have made them live in a land of sorrow and misery because they transgressed against me, and have obeyed Satan. And look, they are suffering to this day, the 80th. Then Elohim said to me, get up, go to them, and make them come to your place, and do not permit Satan to come near them and afflict them. For they are now in great misery and lie helpless from hunger. He further said to me, when you have taken them to yourself, give them to eat of the fruit of the tree of high, and give them to drink of the water of peace, and 64. Adam and Eve 1. Clothe them in a garment of light, and restore them to their former state of grace, and leave them not in misery, for they came from you. But grieve not over them, nor be sorry of that which has come over them. But when I heard this, I was sorry, and my heart could not bear it for your sake, and I could not wait, my child. But, Adam, when I heard the name of Satan I was afraid, and I said to myself, I will not come out, because he might trap me as he did my children, Adam and Hawwa. And I said, Elohim, when I go to my children, Satan will meet me on the way and fight against me as he did against them. Then Elohim said to me, fear not, when you find him, hit him with the staff that is in your hand, and don't be afraid of him, because you are old and established, and he shall not prevail against you. Then I said, Ohwhy, I am old, and cannot go. Send your messengers to bring them. But Elohim said to me, messengers are not like Adam and Hawwa, and they will not consent to come with them. But I have chosen you, because they are your offspring and are like you, and they will listen to what you say. Elohim said further to me, if you don't have enough strength to walk, I will send a cloud to carry you and set you down at the entrance of their cave, then the cloud will return and leave you there. And if they will come with you, I will send a cloud to carry you and them. Then he commanded a cloud to carry me up, and it brought me to you, and then it went back. And now, my children, Adam and Hawwa, look at my old gray hair and at my feeble state, and at my coming from that distant place. Come with me to a place of rest. 65. 1 Adam and Hawwa. Then he began to cry and to sob before Adam and Hawwa, and his tears poured on the ground like water. And when Adam and Hawwa raised their eyes and saw his beard and heard his sweet talk, their hearts softened towards him, and they obeyed him, because they believed he was true. And it seemed to them that they were really his offspring when they saw that his face was like their own, and they trusted him. 61. Then Satan took Adam and Hawwa by the hand and started to lead them out of the cave. But when they had gone a little way out of it, Elohim knew that Satan had overcome them and had brought them out before the 40 days were ended in order to take them to some distant place and to destroy them. Then the word of hawwah Elohim again came and cursed Satan and drove him away from them. And Elohim began to speak to Adam and Hawwa, saying to them, "What made you come out of the cave to this place?" Then Adam said to Elohim, "Did you create a man before us? Because, when we were in the cave there suddenly came to us a friendly old man who said to us, 'I am a messenger from Elohim to you, to bring you back to some place of rest.' And we believed that he was a messenger from you, O Elohim, and we came out with him. We did not know where we should go with him." Then Elohim said to Adam, "This is the father of the evil arts who brought you and Hawwa out of the Garden of Delights. And when he saw that you and Hawwa both joined together in fasting and praying so that you did not come out of the cave before the end of the 40 days, he wished to make your efforts wasted and break your mutual bond in order to take away all hope from you and to drive you to some place where he might destroy you." 66. Adam and Eve 1. Because he couldn't do anything to you unless he showed himself in the likeness of you. Therefore he came to you with a face like your own and began to give you signs as if they were all true. But because I am merciful and am favorable to you, I did not allow him to destroy you. Instead, I drove him away from you. Now, Adam, take Hawwa and return to your cave and remain in it until the morning after the 40th day. And when you come out, go toward the eastern gate of the garden. Then Adam and Hawwa worshipped Elohim, and praised and barak him for the deliverance that had come to them from him. And they returned to the cave. This happened in the evening of the 39th day. Then Adam and Hawwa stood up and with a fervent passion, prayed to Elohim to give them strength, for they had become weak because of hunger and thirst and prayer. But they watched the entire night praying until morning. Then Adam said to Hawwa, "Get up. Let us go toward the eastern gate of the garden as Elohim told us." And they said their prayers as they were accustomed to do every day, and they left the cave to go near to the eastern gate of the garden. Then Adam and Hawwa stood up and prayed and appealed to Elohim to strengthen them and to send them something to satisfy their hunger. But after they finished their prayers they were too weak to move. Then the word of Elohim came again, and said to them, "Adam, get up, go and bring the 2 figs here." Then Adam and Hawwa got up, and went until they came near to the cave. 62. But Satan, the wicked one, was envious because of the consolation Elohim had given them. So he prevented them from getting the figs and went into the cave and took the 2 figs and buried. 67. 1 Adam and Hawwa. Them outside the cave so that Adam and Hawwa should not find them. He also had thought to destroy them. But by Elohim's mercy, as soon as those 2 figs were in the ground, Elohim defeated Satan's wishes regarding the figs and made them into 2 fruit trees that grew higher than the cave and shaded the cave because Satan had buried them on the eastern side of it. Then when the 2 trees were grown, and were covered with fruit, Satan grieved and mourned, and said, "It would have been better to have left those figs where they were, because now they have become 2 fruit trees that Adam will eat from all the days of his life. But I had in my mind that when I buried them it would destroy them entirely and hide them forever. But Elohim has overturned my plan and would not let that sacred fruit perish, and he has made known my intention, and has defeated the plan I had formed against his servants." Then Satan went away ashamed because he hadn't thought his plans all the way through. 63. As they got closer to the cave, Adam and Hawwa saw 2 fig trees covered with fruit, and giving shade to the cave. Then Adam said to Hawwa, "It seems to me that we have gone the wrong way. When did these 2 trees grow here? It seems to me that the enemy wishes to lead us the wrong way. Do you suppose that there is another cave in the earth besides this one? But, Hawwa, let us go into the cave and find the 2 figs because this is our cave we were in. But if we do not find the 2 figs in it, then it cannot be our cave." Then they went into the cave and looked into the 4 corners of it but did not find the 2 figs. And Adam cried and said to Hawwa, "Did we go to the wrong cave, Hawwa? It seems to me the 2 figs should have been in the cave." And Hawwa said, "I do not know." 68. Adam and Eve 1. Then Adam stood up and prayed and said, "O Elohim, you commanded us to come back to the cave to take the 2 figs and return to you. But now, we cannot find them. Elohim, have you taken them and planted these 2 trees, or have we lost our way in the earth, or has the enemy deceived us? If this is real then, O Elohim, reveal the secret of these 2 trees and figs to us." Then the word of Elohim came to Adam, and said to him, "Adam, when I sent you to bring back the figs, Satan went ahead of you to the cave and took the figs, and buried them outside, east of the cave, thinking to destroy them, by not sowing them with good intent. It wasn't because of him that these trees have immediately grown up, but I had mercy on you and I commanded them to grow. And they grew to be 2 large trees, that would give you shade by their branches, and you should find rest, and by this I made you see my power and my marvelous works. And, also I showed you Satan's cruelty and his evil works. Ever since you came out of the garden he has not ceased for a single day from doing you harm in some way. But I have not given him power over you." And Elohim said, "From now on, Adam, rejoice because of the trees that you and Hawwah can rest under when you feel weary. But do not eat any of their fruit or come near them." Then Adam cried, and said, "Elohim, will you kill us again, or will you drive us away from your face, and cut off our life from the face of the earth? O Elohim, I beg you, if you know that these trees bring either death or some other evil, as they did the first time, root them up from near our cave and leave us to die of the heat or hunger or thirst. For we know your marvelous works, O Elohim, that they are great, and that by your power you can bring one thing out of another without the thing's consent. For your power can make rocks to become trees, and trees to become rocks." 69. 1 Adam and Hawwah. 64. Then Elohim looked at Adam and at his strength of mind and at his ability to endure hunger, thirst, and heat. And he changed the 2 fig trees into 2 figs as they were at first. Then he said to Adam and Hawwah, "Each of you may take 1 fig," and they took them as hawwah commanded them. And he said to them, "You must now go into the cave and eat the figs and satisfy your hunger or else you will die." So, they went into the cave about sunset as Elohim commanded them. And Adam and Hawwah stood up and prayed during the setting sun. Then they sat down to eat the figs, but they did not know how to eat them because they were not accustomed to eating earthly food. They were afraid that if they ate, their stomach would become heavy and their flesh thickened, and their hearts would begin to crave earthly food. But while they were seated, Elohim sent them his messenger, out of pity for them, so they wouldn't perish of hunger and thirst. And the messenger said to Adam and Hawwah, "Elohim says to you that you do not have the strength that would be required to fast until death, so eat and strengthen your bodies, for you are now animal flesh and cannot subsist without food and drink." Then Adam and Hawwah took the figs and began to eat of them. But Elohim had put into them a mixture as of savory bread and soup. Then, the messenger left Adam and Hawwah as they ate of the figs until they had satisfied their hunger. Then they put aside what was left over, but by the power of Elohim the figs became whole again, because Elohim baraked them. After this Adam and Hawwah got up and prayed with a joyful heart and renewed strength, and praised and rejoiced much for the entire night. And this was the end of the 83rd day. 70. Adam and Eve 1. 65. And when it was day, they got up and prayed, after their custom, and then went out of the cave. But they became sick from the food they had eaten because they were not used to it, so they went about in the cave saying to each other, "What has our eating caused to happen to us, that we should be in such pain? We are in misery. We are going to die. It would have been better for us to have died keeping our bodies pure than to have eaten and defiled them with food." Then Adam said to Hawwah, "This pain did not come to us in the garden, neither did we eat such bad food there. Hawwah, do you think that Elohim will plague us through the food that is in us, or that our insides will come out, or that Elohim intends to kill us with this pain before he has fulfilled his promise to us?" Then Adam besought hawwah and said, "O hawwah, let us not perish because of the food we have eaten. O hawwah, don't punish us, but deal with us according to your great mercy, and do not forsake us until the day of the promise you have made us." Then Elohim looked at them, and then equipped them to be able to eat food at once, as it is to this day, so that they should not perish. Then Adam and Hawwah came back into the cave sorrowful and crying because of the alteration of their bodies. And they both knew from that hour that they were altered beings and all hope of returning to the garden was now lost, and they could not enter it again. For now their bodies had strange functions, and all flesh that requires food and drink for its existence cannot be in the garden. Then Adam said to Hawwa, "See, our hope is now lost, and so is our faith that we will enter the garden. We no longer belong to the inhabitants of the garden, but from now on we are earthy and of the dust, and of the inhabitants of the earth. We shall not return to the garden until the day in which Elohim has promised to." 71. 1 Adam and Hawwa. Save us and to bring us again into the garden, as he promised us. Then they prayed to Elohim that he would have mercy on them. After this, their minds were quieted, their hearts were broken, and their longing was cooled down, and they were like strangers on earth. That night Adam and Hawwa spent in the cave, where they slept heavily because of the food they had eaten. 66. When the morning of the day after they had eaten food came, Adam and Hawwa prayed in the cave, and Adam said to Hawwa, "Look, we asked Elohim for food, and he gave it. But now let us also ask him to give us a drink of water." Then they got up, and went to the bank of the stream of water, that was on the south border of the garden, which they had thrown themselves in before. And they stood on the bank, and prayed to Elohim that he would command them to drink the water. Then the word of Elohim came to Adam, and said to him, "O Adam, your body has become brutish, and requires water to drink. Take some and drink it, you and Hawwa, then give thanks and praise." Adam and Hawwa then went down to the stream and drank from it, until their bodies felt refreshed. After they drank, they praised Elohim and then returned to their cave, as was their custom. This happened at the end of 83 days. Then on the 84th day, they took the 2 figs and hung them in the cave together with the leaves of the figs. To them these were a sign and a barakah from Elohim. And they placed them there so that if their descendants came there they would see the wonderful things Elohim had done for them. Then Adam and Hawwa stood outside the cave again and asked Elohim to show them some food with which they could nourish their bodies. Then the word of Elohim came and said to him, "Adam, go down west of the cave until you come to a land that has dark soil, and there you will find food." 72. Adam and Eve 1. And Adam obeyed the word of Elohim and took Hawwa, and went down to a land that had dark soil and found wheat growing ripe in the ear, and figs to eat, and Adam rejoiced over it. Then the word of Elohim came again to Adam, and said to him, "Take some of this wheat and make yourselves some bread with it, to nourish your body." And Elohim gave Adam's heart wisdom to work the corn until it became bread. Adam accomplished it all until he grew very faint and weak. He then returned to the cave rejoicing at what he had learned and what he had done with the wheat, until it was made into bread. 67. When Adam and Hawwa went down to the land of black earth and came near to the wheat Elohim had showed them and saw that it was ripe and ready for reaping, they did not have a sickle to reap it with. So they put themselves to the task and began to pull up the wheat by hand until the task was complete. They then heaped it into a pile. They were weak from heat and from thirst and went under a shady tree where the breeze fanned them to sleep. But Satan saw what Adam and Hawwa had done, and he called his hosts, and said to them, "Elohim has shown to Adam and Hawwa all about this wheat to strengthen their bodies, and, look, they have come and made a big pile of it. Now they are weak from the toil and are now asleep. Come, let us set fire to this heap of corn, and burn it. Let us take that bottle of water that is by them and empty it out, so that they may find nothing to drink, and we kill them with hunger and thirst. Then, when they wake up from their sleep and seek to return to the cave, we will come to them along the way and lead them in the wrong direction so that they die of hunger and thirst. Then perhaps they will reject Elohim, and he may destroy them. So, in this way we can be rid of them." 73. 1 Adam and Hawwa. Then Satan and his hosts set the wheat on fire and burned it up. But from the heat of the flame Adam and Hawwa awoke from their sleep and saw the wheat burning, and the bucket of water by them was poured out. Then they cried and began to go back to the cave. But as they were going up from below the mountain, Satan and his hosts met them in the form of messengers, praising Elohim. Then Satan said to Adam, "Adam, why are you so pained with hunger and thirst? It seems to me that Satan has burnt up the wheat." And Adam said to him, "Yes." Satan said to Adam, "Come back with us. We are messengers of Elohim. Elohim sent us to you to show you another field of corn better than that, and beyond it is a fountain of good water and many trees, near where you shall live. And you shall work the cornfield and make it better than that which Satan has consumed. Adam thought that he was true, and that they were messengers who talked with him, and so he went back with them. Then Satan began to lead Adam and Hawwa in the wrong direction for 8 days, until they both fell down as if dead, from hunger, thirst, and weakness. Then he fled with his hosts, and left them. 68. Then Elohim looked at Adam and Hawwa, and at what had befallen them from Satan, and how he killed them. So Elohim sent his word and raised Adam and Hawwa from death. Then, when he was raised, Adam said, O Elohim, you have burnt and taken the seeds which you had given us. You have emptied out the bucket of water. And you have sent your messengers, who have caused us to lose our way from the cornfield. Will you kill us? If this is from you, O Elohim, then take away our souls but stop punishing us. 74. Adam and Eve 1. Then Elohim said to Adam, I did not burn down the wheat, and I did not pour the water out of the bucket, and I did not send my messengers to lead you astray. But it is Satan, your master, who did it. It was he to whom you have subjected yourself, while setting my commandment aside. It is he who burnt down the corn, and poured out the water, and who has led you astray. All the promises he has made you were just a trick, a deception, and a lie. But now, Adam, you shall acknowledge my good deeds done to you. And Elohim told his messengers to take Adam and Hawwa, and to lift them up to the field of wheat, which they found as before with the bucket full of water. There they saw a tree and found on it solid manna, and they were astonished at Elohim's power. And the messengers commanded them to eat of the manna when they were hungry. And Elohim admonished Satan with a curse, not to come again and destroy the field of corn. Then Adam and Hawwa took of the corn, and made an offering of it, and took it and offered it up on the mountain, at the place where they had offered up their first offering of blood. And they offered this offering again on the altar they had built at first. And they stood up and prayed, and besought Hawah, saying, O Elohim, when we were in the garden, our praises went up to you like this offering, and our innocence went up to you like incense. But now, O Elohim, accept this offering from us, and don't turn us away or deprive us of your mercy. Then Elohim said to Adam and Hawwa, Since you have made this offering and have offered it to me, I shall make it my Ben's flesh when he comes down on earth to save you. I shall cause it to be offered continually on an altar for forgiveness and mercy for those who partake of it appropriately. 75. 1 Adam and Hawwa. Then Elohim sent a bright fire over the offering of Adam and Hawwa and filled it with brightness, grace, and light. And the Ruach HaKodesh came down on that offering. Then Elohim commanded a messenger to take fire tongs, like a spoon, and take an offering and bring it to Adam and Hawwa. And the messenger did so as Elohim had commanded him, and offered it to them. And the souls of Adam and Hawwa were brightened, and their hearts were filled with joy and gladness and with the praises of Elohim. And Elohim said to Adam, This shall be a custom to you to perform when affliction and sorrow should come over you. But your deliverance and your entrance into the garden shall not be until the days are fulfilled as agreed between you and me. If it were not for this, I would bring you back to my garden and to my favor and my mercy and pity for you, for the sake of the offering you have just made to my name. Adam rejoiced at these words, which he heard from Elohim. And Adam and Hawwa worshipped before the altar, to which they bowed, and then went back to the cave of treasures. And this took place at the end of the 12th day after the 80th day, from the time Adam and Hawwa came out of the garden. And they stood up the entire night praying until morning. Then they went out of the cave. Then Adam said to Hawwa, with joy in his heart, because of the offering they had made to Elohim that had been accepted by him, Let us do this 3 times every week, on all the days of our life. And as they agreed on these words, and Elohim was pleased with their thoughts and with the decision they made. After this, the word of Elohim came to Adam, and said, Adam, you have determined beforehand the days in which sufferings shall come over my Ben. 76. Adam and Eve 1. When he is made flesh. They are the 4th day, and the preparation day, which is 6th day. But regarding the 1st day, I created all things in it, and I raised the Shamayim. Through my Ben's rising again on this day, will I create joy and raise those who believe in me on high. Adam, make this offering all the days of your life. Then the word of Elohim withdrew from Adam. But Adam continued to make the offering as he had, every week, 3 times a week, until the end of 7 weeks. And on the first day, which is the 50th, Adam made an offering as he was accustomed, and he and Hawwah took it and came to the altar before Elohim, as he had taught them. 69. Then Satan, the hater of all that is good, was envious of Adam by the fact that his offering found favor with Elohim. So Satan hurried and took a sharp stone from among the sharp ironstones, which were shaped in the form of a man. And Satan went and stood by Adam and Hawwah. Adam was offering on the altar and had begun to pray with his hands spread before Elohim. Then Satan hurried with the sharp ironstone he had and pierced Adam on the right side, and blood and water flowed. Then Adam fell on the altar like a corpse, and Satan fled. Then Hawwah came and took Adam and placed him below the altar. There she stayed, crying over him while a stream of blood flowed from Adam's side over his offering. But Elohim looked upon the death of Adam. But Elohim looked at the death of Adam. He then sent his word and raised him up. And he said to him, Fulfill your offering because, certainly Adam, it is worthy and there is no imperfection in it. Elohim continued speaking to Adam, Thus will it also happen to my Ben while on the earth, when he shall be pierced and blood and water shall flow from his side and run over his body, which is the true. 77. 1 Adam and Hawwah. Offering, and which shall be offered on the altar as a perfect offering. Then Elohim commanded Adam to finish his offering. And when he had ended it he worshipped before Elohim and praised him for the signs he had showed him. And Elohim healed Adam in 1 day, which is the end of the 7 weeks and is the 50th day. Then Adam and Hawwah returned from the mountain and went into the cave of treasures, as they were used to do. This completed 140 days for Adam and Hawwah, since their coming out of the garden. Then they both stood up that night and prayed to Elohim. And when it was morning they went down to the west side of the cave, to the place where their corn was, and there they rested under the shadow of a tree, as they were accustomed to do. But when they were there, a multitude of beasts came all around them. It was Satan's wickedness and his way to wage war against Adam through marriage. 70. After this Satan, the hater of all that is good, took the form of a messenger, and 2 others with him. So, they looked like the 3 messengers who had brought to Adam gold, incense, and myrrh. They came to Adam and Hawwah while they were under the tree, and greeted Adam and Hawwah with friendly words that were full of deceit. But when Adam and Hawwah saw their friendly countenance and heard their sweet speech, Adam rose, welcomed them, and brought them to Hawwah and they remained all together. Adam's heart was happy all the while because he thought that they were the same messengers, who had brought him gold, incense, and myrrh. This was because when they came to Adam the first time peace and joy came over him from them because they brought him good gifts. So Adam thought that they had come a second time to give him. 78. Adam and Eve 1. Other gifts to make him rejoice. He did not know it was Satan, therefore he received them with joy and associated with them. Then Satan, the tallest of them, said, Rejoice, Adam, and be glad. Look, Elohim has sent us to you to tell you something. And Adam said, What is it? Then Satan said, It is a simple thing, but it is the word of Elohim. Will you accept it from us and do it? If you will not accept it, we will return to Elohim and tell him that you would not receive his word. And Satan continued, saying to Adam, Don't be afraid and don't shake. Don't you know us? But Adam said, I do not know you. Then Satan said to him, I am the messenger that brought you gold and took it to the cave. This other messenger is the one that brought you incense. And the third messenger is the one who brought you myrrh when you were on top of the mountain. It was he who carried you to the cave. It was our other fellow messengers who lifted you to the cave. Elohim has not sent them with us this time because he said to us, You will be enough. So when Adam heard these words he believed them, and said to the messengers, Speak the word of Elohim, and I will receive it. And Satan said to him, Swear and promise me that you will receive it. Then Adam said, I do not know how to swear and promise. And Satan said to him, Hold out your hand and put it inside my hand. Then Adam held out his hand, and put it into Satan's hand. Satan said to him, Now say this, as Elohim who raised the stars in the Shamaim, and established the dry ground on the waters, and has created me out of the 4 elements, and out of the dust of the earth, and as logical and true does speak, I will not break my promise, nor abandon my word. 79. 1 Adam and Hawwah. And Adam swore. Then Satan said to him, Look, some time has passed since you came out of the garden, and you do not know wickedness or evil. But now Elohim says to you, to take Hawwah who came out of your side, and marry her so that she will bear you children to comfort you and to drive from you trouble and sorrow. This thing is not difficult and there is nothing morally wrong in it for you. 71. But when Adam heard these words from Satan, he sorrowed much, because of his oath and his promise. And he said, Shall I commit adultery with my flesh and my bones, and shall I sin against myself, so that Elohim will destroy me and blot me out from the face of the earth? First, I ate of the tree and he drove me out of the garden into this strange land and deprived me of my bright nature, and brought my death. If I do this, he will cut off my life from the earth, and he will cast me into Gehinnom, and plague me there a long time. But Elohim never spoke the words that you have said, and you are not Elohim's messengers. He did not send you. You are devils that have come to me under the false appearance of messengers. Away from me, you cursed of Elohim. Then the devils fled from Adam. And he and Hawwah got up and returned to the cave of treasures, and went into it. Then Adam said to Hawwah, If you saw what I did, don't tell anyone, because I sinned against Elohim in swearing by his great name, and I have placed my hand once again into that of Satan. Hawwah then held her peace as Adam told her. Then Adam got up and spread his hands before Elohim, beseeching and entreating him with tears to forgive him of what he had done. And Adam remained standing and praying in that way for 40 days and 40 nights. He did not eat or drink until he dropped down on the ground from hunger and thirst. 80. Adam and Eve 1. Then Elohim sent his word to Adam, who raised him up from where he lay, and said to him, Adam, why have you sworn by my name? Why have you made agreement with Satan again? But Adam cried and said, O Elohim, forgive me. I did this unwittingly because I believed they were Elohim's messengers. And Elohim forgave Adam and said to him, Beware of Satan. And he withdrew his word from Adam. Then Adam's heart was comforted, and he took Hawwah and they went out of the cave to prepare some food for their bodies. But from that day Adam struggled in his mind about marrying Hawwah, because he was afraid that if he did it, Elohim would be angry with him. Then Adam and Hawwah went to the river of water, and sat on the bank, as people do when they enjoy themselves. But Satan was jealous of them and planned to destroy them. 72. Then Satan, and 10 from his hosts, transformed themselves into maidens, with more grace than any others in the entire world. They came up out of the river in front of Adam and Hawwah, and they said among themselves, Come, we will look at the faces of Adam and Hawwah who are of the men on earth. They are beautiful and their faces look different than ours. Then they came to Adam and Hawwah and greeted them, and they stood amazed at them. Adam and Hawwah looked at them also, and wondered at their beauty, and said, Is there another world under us with such beautiful creatures as these in it? And the maidens said to Adam and Hawwah, Yes, indeed, many of us were created. Then Adam said to them, But how do you multiply? 81. 1 Adam and Hawwah. And they told him, We have husbands who have married us and we bear them children, who grow up and in turn marry and are married and also bear children. Thus we increase. O Adam, you will not believe us, we will show you our husbands and our children. Then they shouted over the river as if to call their husbands and their children. And men and children came up from the river, and every man came to his wife, and his children were with him. But when Adam and Hawwah saw them, they stood speechless and were amazed at them. Then they said to Adam and Hawwah, See all our husbands and our children. You should marry Hawwah as we have married our husbands so that you will have children as we have. This was the way Satan was to deceive Adam. Satan also thought to himself, Elohim at first commanded Adam concerning the fruit of the tree, saying to him, Do not eat of it or else you shall die. But Adam ate of it, but Elohim did not kill him. He only gave him by law death, plagues, and trials, until the day he shall leave his body. But if I deceive him to do this thing and marry Hawwah without Elohim's permission, Elohim will kill him. Therefore Satan worked this apparition before Adam and Hawwah, because he sought to kill him, and to make him disappear from off the face of the earth. Meanwhile the fire of immorality came over Adam and he thought of committing transgression. But he restrained himself, fearing that if he followed the advice of Satan, Elohim would put him to death. Then Adam and Hawwa got up and prayed to Elohim, while Satan and his hosts went down into the river in front of Adam and Hawwa so they would see them going back to their own world. Then Adam and Hawwa went back to the cave of treasures, as they usually did around evening time. 82. Adam and Eve 1. And they both got up and prayed to Elohim that night. Adam remained standing in prayer but did not know how to pray because of the thoughts in his heart about marrying Hawwa. And he continued this way until morning. When light came up, Adam said to Hawwa, "Get up, let us go below the mountain where they brought us gold and let us ask hawwah concerning this matter." Then Hawwa said, "What is that matter, Adam?" And he answered her, "That I may request hawwah to inform me about marrying you because I will not do it without his permission or else he will kill you and me. For those devils have set my heart on fire with thoughts of what they showed us in their sinful visions." Then Hawwa said to Adam, "Why do we need to go to the foot of the mountain? Let us rather stand up and pray in our cave to Elohim to let us know whether this advice is good or not." Then Adam rose up in prayer and said, "O Elohim, you know that we transgressed against you, and from the moment we sinned we were stripped of our bright nature, and our body became brutish, requiring food and drink, and with animal desires. Command us, O Elohim, not to give way to them without your permission, for fear that you will turn us into nothing. If you do not give us permission we will be overcome and follow that advice of Satan, and you will again kill us. If not, then take our souls from us and let us be rid of this animal lust. And if you give us no order about this thing then separate Hawwa from me and me from her, and place us each far away from the other. Then, O Elohim, if you separate us from each other the devils will deceive us with their apparitions that resemble us, and destroy our hearts, and defile our thoughts towards each other. If our heart is not toward each other it will be toward them, through their appearance when the devils come to us in our likeness." Here Adam ended his prayer. 83. 1 Adam and Hawwa. 73. Then Elohim considered the words of Adam that they were true, and that he could not wait long for his order, respecting the counsel of Satan. And Elohim approved Adam in what he had thought concerning this, and in the prayer he had offered in his presence, and the word of Elohim came to Adam and said to him, "O Adam, if only you had had this caution at first, before you came out of the garden into this land." After that, Elohim sent his messenger who had brought gold, and the messenger who had brought incense, and the messenger who had brought myrrh to Adam, that they should inform him respecting his marriage to Hawwa. Then those messengers said to Adam, "Take the gold and give it to Hawwa as a wedding gift, and promise to marry her. Then give her some incense and myrrh as a present, and you both will be one flesh." Adam obeyed the messengers, and took the gold and put it into Hawwa's bosom in her garment, and promised to marry her with his hand. Then the messengers commanded Adam and Hawwa to get up and pray 40 days and 40 nights. When that was done, then Adam was to have sexual intercourse with his wife, for then this would be an act pure and undefiled, so that he would have children who would multiply and replenish the face of the earth. Then both Adam and Hawwa received the words of the messengers, and the messengers departed from them. Then Adam and Hawwa began to fast and pray, until the end of the 40 days, and then they had sexual intercourse, as the messengers had told them. And from the time Adam left the garden until he wedded Hawwa, were 223 days, that is 7 months and 13 days. This was how Satan's war with Adam was won by Adam and Satan was defeated. 84. Adam and Eve 1. 74. And they lived on the earth working so they could keep their bodies in good health. And they continued until the 9 months of Hawwa's pregnancy were over and the time drew near when she would give birth. Then she said to Adam, "The tokens placed in this cave since we left the garden show it to be a pure place. We will be praying in it again in a while. Because of this, it is not appropriate that I should give birth in it. Let us instead go to the sheltering rock cave that was formed by the command of Elohim when Satan threw a big rock down on us in an attempt to kill us." Adam then took Hawwa to that cave. When the time came for her to give birth she strained very much. Adam felt pity for her and he was very worried about her because she was close to death and the words of Elohim to her were being fulfilled. You shall bear a child in suffering, and in sorrow shall you bring forth a child. But when Adam saw the distress Hawwa was in, he got up and prayed to Elohim, and said, O hwhy, look at me with the eye of your mercy, and deliver her out of her distress. And Elohim looked at his maidservant Hawwa, and delivered her, and she gave birth to her firstborn son, and with him a daughter. Then Adam rejoiced at Hawwa's deliverance, and also over the children she had given him. And Adam ministered to Hawwa in the cave until the end of 8 days, when they named the son Cain, and the daughter Luluah. The meaning of Cain is, hater, because he hated his sister in their mother's womb, before they were born. Because of this, Adam named him Cain. But Luluah means, beautiful, because she was more beautiful than her mother. Then Adam and Hawwa waited until Cain and his sister were 40 days old, when Adam said to Hawwa, we will make an offering and offer it up in behalf of the children. 85. 1 Adam and Hawwa. And Hawwa said, we will first make one offering for the firstborn son and then later we shall make one for the daughter. 75. Then Adam prepared an offering. He and Hawwa brought it to the altar they had built at first and offered it up for their children. And Adam offered up the offering, and asked Elohim to accept his offering. Then Elohim accepted Adam's offering, and sent a light from the Shamayim that shined down on the offering. Adam and his son drew near to the offering, but Hawwa and the daughter did not approach it. Adam and his son were joyful as they came down from the altar. Adam and Hawwa waited until the daughter was 80 days old and then Adam prepared an offering and took it to Hawwa and to the children. They went to the altar where Adam offered it up, as he was accustomed, asking hwhy to accept his offering. And hwhy accepted the offering of Adam and Hawwa. Then Adam, Hawwa, and the children gathered together and came down from the mountain, rejoicing. But they did not return to the cave in which they were born. Instead,